guys, I'm Aveline. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So today we are building a tiny house, even though I feel like this house looks a little bit big if you consider the rules that came with tiny living. So it is 64 tiles. It is like, you know, the max tiles, or it's 63 tiles actually, I think. So it's one tile less than the max tile count for a tiny house with the, or to get the benefits that came with tiny living. So technically, I suppose it's a tiny house. It's just very big for a tiny house. I don't know. I'm used to building tiny houses that are smaller than this, and it feels kind of weird. So I tried my best to make this for 8 Sims. I did succeed. However, I did have to, like, all the beds are very close to each other. A lot of the Sims have to share rooms. I think there is one tiny human bedroom that only has room for just one Sim, so a tiny human. But as for the rest, we have, obviously, you know, the parents' bedroom, but then we also have another one on the ground floor. Yes, we are dealing with 2 floors today. I kind of had to fake a second floor, but you'll see that in a little bit. So another room on the ground floor has room for a kid and a toddler, and then on the second floor, under the attic, we have room for either 3 teens, 2 teens and a kid, 2 kids and a teen. It kind of depends a little bit on your household if you want to play in this house, because teens and kids technically use the same bed size, so it could be either. And yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle. Also, the tiny human bedroom that's just for a tiny human is also on the ground floor. So I think that's 8 Sims. We have 2 plus 1, 3 plus 2, that's 5 plus 3 in the attic, so that's 8. Yeah, 8 Sims. But it was a struggle. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a struggle. I also really wanted to make sure that they had room for like a proper living room. So there is a couch, an ottoman, and a TV. You can sit 3 Sims there in total. They also have a proper kitchen, a fully functional kitchen. So that's basically a stove, a fridge, a sink, and a free counter. And then out here in this little glass box, because it's not a room, it doesn't count as a room. I don't know if you would consider this cheating. I kind of at the start wanted to turn it into a greenhouse, but then I was like, actually it would be really cool if they had a dining area out here. So ignore the fact that right now it's on a half tile, because this was when I thought I would turn it into, or now I'm changing it. I thought I would turn it into a greenhouse, so I didn't really care if there was grass. I didn't care that it was on a half tile, because you can't put floor on half tiles. So as soon as I was like, okay, let's turn this into a dining room instead, I had to kind of move it around a little bit. But now it's very narrow, and I had issues with this little bit of the house, because at first I put down a dining table with 6 chairs total, which is good. Like, that's a good size, or a lot of chairs for a house this small. And it worked. Like, my playtester Sim Faye could sit down in any of the seats. It was working just fine. And then I moved on to another room. So once I went back and tried to playtest it again a little bit later, it wasn't working anymore. It was very strange. Like, I didn't change anything in the room. I didn't change anything in the room. Like, I don't know why it wasn't working anymore. So I've been playtesting, as I always do with tiny houses. I always playtest as I'm decorating, because it makes it a little bit easier for me, I think. So everything is just playtested while I'm decorating, basically, but it works. I had to change the roofing a little bit because the beds on the, or under the attic, in the attic, weren't working either, but they turned out to work once I changed the roof. So yeah, play tested everything. Everything should work just fine. It does in my game. If it doesn't in yours, then I don't really know what that's about, but I've heard stories from other people where I've fully play tested something and they put it in their games and it doesn't work anymore. I don't know why that is, but if that's the case with this house, then I dare say that it's out of my control. Also, a few things. Yes, this is a tiny house, even though, I mean, there's a lot of tiles in this house. It's a fairly big house, but it is a tiny house. Is it the most playable house? Like, fully, like, it's fully functional, but would you actually want to play in this house with a full household? Is the question. I'm not really sure, because everything is quite crammed together. Your Sims would be living like basically on top of each other, and I'm not sure that that's great for gameplay, but I just wanted to make sure that I could still manage to fit in 8 Sims into a tiny house. So that's what this is about. It's basically just about me trying to prove something to myself, and I managed to do it, so I'm alright with it. But I'm not sure that it's the most, like, I'm not sure that it's the best house for gameplay, so. But they do have a huge backyard, so during the non-winter months, which is basically just winter. I don't know where that came from. Ignore that anyways. Or wait, winter months. It's because we don't have months in The Sims, so we have to think in seasons. So in The Sims, it's basically just like winter. Anyways, that's where that came from. But during winter, you probably don't want to have your Sims outside, you know, hanging in the backyard too much because it gets cold and stuff, but during spring, summer, and fall, you'll be just fine. Like, there is a nice big sand pit for the younger kids and a lot of toys there. There's one of the monkey jungle things, monkey bars, is that thing. There's a nice, decently sized pool, and they even have an outdoors kitchen as well. So usually with these houses, when it comes to cramping in as much as I can into a house, a tiny house, I want to make sure that I have everything they need for gameplay inside of the house before I move on to the exterior. So if they didn't have a kitchen in the house, I wouldn't just put a kitchen outside. Like, I feel like that's cheating a little bit. But because they have a kitchen inside, I'm okay putting another kitchen outside. It is bigger than the indoors kitchen, but, you know, they have more space around. They have a lot of backyard space. I built this on a 30 by 20, which I don't usually do with tiny houses. I tend to stick to 20 by 20s or 20 by 15s. A lot of them are in Newcrest, actually. Also a few here in Willow Creek. We're building in Willow Creek today. But for a change, I decided to build the tiny house on a 30 by 20. So suddenly I just had a lot of space. I don't even think I utilized all the backyard space. I think I cut off the backyard a little bit with the fencing just because I felt like that was way too big of a backyard for a tiny house. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I just decided to cut it off a little bit, and I think the backyard is still a little bit too big for the tiny house, but it's okay. I spoiled them a little bit. They deserve to be spoiled after their house turned out to be so freaking small. And there is basically, like, I don't even, because I only play tested this with one sim. So I'm not even sure that you can, like, walk past each other. Like, would that cause issues? Would that cause glitches or something like that? I don't really know. And then also another thing to note for this house is that as for the color scheme, I kind of went a little bit overboard. So it's very colorful, but I like it this way. I actually really enjoy kind of these kinds of colorful interiors for big family houses. Because especially when you have a lot of, like, younger kids in the house, so kids and also tiny humans. So today we are just going for color. I'm not really sure what the color scheme is. There is a lot of green and a lot of orange as well here in the dining room. I mainly went for green, blue, and also yellow. I actually changed two of the windows, like the ones that are facing the backyard. I changed them to the sliding door from Island Living later on, just to make it easier to get outside, because otherwise they only have that one single tile door that came with the new pack Nifty Knitting, which is super cute, by the way. The door is really cute. It's very good for tiny houses because it's a single tile door, but I felt like it would make more sense with 8 Sims that they had another way to exit the house, at least to the backyard. So I ended up using the sliding door. I love that sliding door. It's so gorgeous. Could have used the one from Eco Lifestyle as well, but I don't know. I went for the Island Living one today. So, but other than that, you know, they have an office area, not really like a proper office. There's a desk and a laptop on it. That's their office. It doesn't block the front door, actually. I did play test that, so your sim can walk between the couch and the computer chair. That is possible. I know it doesn't look it, but it is. So just so you know, or at least in my game. Again, with those glitches, it's kind of like sometimes they pop up in your games, sometimes they don't. Like, I don't really know what the difference there is, but I've play tested several things where I've been told that it doesn't work in their game, and I'm like, but I play tested it to make sure that it did work for you, because otherwise that kind of sucks. Trying to build something that you can use for gameplay and then it doesn't work. I don't like that. So I do play test, especially like smaller builds like this or tiny houses. I do play test, and it should work for you. If it doesn't, I don't know. I play tested the attic like several times. I play tested all the beds just to make sure that nothing was blocking them, because it is a very narrow space we're dealing with upstairs. You'll see that in a little bit. And I'm really thankful for this, not the staircase though, the ladder as well for this house, because it only takes up one tile, technically two, because you do need, I mean, it takes up one at the bottom, but you also need one where apparently like you have to make sure that the tile in front of that tile is also empty, because otherwise your sim can't actually use the ladder. I don't know why that is. And then of course, you know, around the ladder on the upstairs as well, you have to make sure that one of those tiles is empty as well, so your sim can step off the ladder. But that's about it. So it's like, let's say 2.5 tiles total or something. It's much better than a staircase, that is for sure, because staircases take up 4 or 3, I don't remember, plus another 3 plus 1, I don't know, a lot of tiles. So for tiny houses, ladders are definitely your friend, especially if you are kind of not necessarily trying to cheat extra space, because I didn't put tiles up there, I just kind of put a couple of beds under the roof, so it's not really like the space would be there anyways. I'm not adding to it in any way. It just doesn't count as tiles, but it never does. If you just place down a roof piece, it doesn't count as tiles. So I don't think that's considered cheating. But if you're just trying to add a little bit more space, like maybe you want to make a play attic for a kid or something, put a lot of toys up there, the ladder is definitely your friend. So, and you've probably noticed by now that the color scheme in this house is just crazy, but I kind of like it. They don't have to coordinate everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, the floor plan is a mess, so the house in itself is not perfect in any way. So I just felt like it would be fun with the color scheme to just go a little bit crazy. So, but other than that, I hope you guys are enjoying your Monday. I am going to chill. That's not true. I'm recording for both tomorrow and Wednesday, probably just one of the videos actually, because I had everything. I have a planner, so I've mentioned my planner many times, but I love my planner and I talk about things that I love. That's just a thing. Okay, I love my planner. Anyways, I write down ideas. I tend to schedule at least like 2 weeks ahead of time, sometimes even 3. It depends a little bit on whether or not I think there's like a release coming up, like a pack release, which I'm not really sure. Is that happening now? I don't really know. Do we need to talk about that, by the way? For those of you who aren't on Twitter, apparently The Sims, I don't know if they did it on purpose, like you never really know, but apparently due to the sparked challenges they have on their website, they need to take a, let's start over. They needed to take a screenshot of like how to join or something. By the way, if you want to know how to join as a builder, I made them that tutorial. It's on their webpage, but that's not important. That's not relevant to this little thing. So they took a picture, and among the icons, there is a game pack icon that we've not seen before because it's not attached to any title. It's not like it came out of the blue, so no one really knows what it is. I think they accidentally leaked it. If that's not what it is, maybe it's like a placeholder or something else, because the icon does look very strange compared to all the other game pack icons. Like it looks different style-wise. As in, I don't know how to explain it. It just looks different. So if you haven't seen it, you can see it on Twitter. If I remember, I'll link to the Sims communities page in the description box down below. I'll probably forget, to be honest, but I'll see if I can remember. So there's a long time between like doing the voiceover and uploading it and fixing the description box on YouTube. There's some editing in between. I have to render. I'll probably go take a nap because I've slept like 4 hours, 3.5 hours tonight, thanks to the drilling outside that we're not gonna get into today. So I'll probably forget it, to be honest, but you can go look it up, like game pack icon leaked Sims community or something like that on Google, and you should probably see it. But the icon just looks weird. And I'm a little bit scared because I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but I'm not that into like futuristic stuff in The Sims. Don't get me wrong, I like sci-fi movies. I have a very broad taste of like movie taste when it comes to movie genres and stuff. I like a lot of different things. You know, I'm both very into horror movies, but I also like sci-fi movies. I love superhero movies, but I also occasionally like a good chick flick. So it's just like whatever I'm in the mood for. However, when it comes to The Sims, aliens have never really been my thing. And you've probably noticed if you watched my rainbow videos, my rainbow create a sim videos, I've been trying to avoid doing the aliens because I don't like them in The Sims. I don't know what it is. So I'm a little bit afraid that it's either something futuristic, which is not really my building style, or something space related, which is not really something that I'm very interested in when it comes to The Sims. I get that others are, so I'm not talking on anybody else's behalf, just my own. But personally, I am a little bit scared that it's either of those. I know it's inevitable that we're gonna get a pack like that at some point. Of course we are. I was just kind of hoping that it wouldn't be the next game pack. But we'll see. There's also a theory that it has something to do with Star Wars. So I am actually a pretty big fan of Star Wars. No, I don't know the lore behind the movies, but I've watched all the movies several times, like several times. I love Star Wars, the movies. So I don't really see how that's gonna translate well into The Sims if it is a Star Wars related pack. Like, I know they did Moschino, but that's different. It's not a whole franchise, it's just clothing. And then, you know, actually Moschino also did a little bit of furniture here and there, not a lot. They do have a few pieces that are very strange, but kind of funny. So I kind of see how that would translate into The Sims. But Star Wars is a franchise on its own. How would that work with, you know, another franchise like The Sims that is so different from Star Wars? I know we have Baby Yoda and I love Baby Yoda, but like as a whole game pack, I don't see how that would fit well with the rest of the game unless they're doing something like, you know, Strangerville, but as Star Wars or something story related like that. But again, that would be very niche. Not a lot of people would be interested in that. I'm not really sure if that's something they're interested in, only like relating to a few players instead of as many players as possible. Does that make sense? Like business-wise, I don't see the point in that, but there are some theories out there that it has something to do with Star Wars as well, because EA owns The Sims and EA also owns Star Wars, so they could do that. I think there are rumors as well. I think one of the gurus said that the next game pack that they did would be something they hadn't done before, so it could be something like that, but like, I don't know, let me know what you think. This is not a speculation video, but I don't like to make speculation videos. I can't even say that word, so let's not start doing that. But I do like to talk about leaks and rumors and trailers and so on in my voiceovers, so I hope that's okay. So I'd love to hear you guys out on that though. Like, how would you feel about a Star Wars pack, or maybe if it's just like a space world, not necessarily related to Star Wars, but maybe inspired by Star Wars? How would you feel about that? Is that something you'd want in your game? I suspect if you're watching my videos, you're probably not as much into space stuff as, you know, because I don't ever build stuff like that. So maybe you get that from some other channel. I don't really know, but I suspect that the majority of you are probably a little bit on the same page as me. It's not really your thing either, but let me know. Don't write the game pack off just yet though, because nothing has been confirmed. We don't know if that's actually the right icon either, and the whole theme hasn't been confirmed. Nothing has been confirmed. We've just seen an icon. It could have been one of the gurus being a troll. We never know. So like, don't write the next game pack off just based on that so far, like based on this only little thing we have, because it could be something completely different. So just wanted to point that out. Like, don't start panicking if that's not what you want, because we don't know yet. So yeah, but if it turns out to be that pack, remember there's also another expansion pack coming probably in November, because usually they release EPs in either May or June, and then also in November because it fits with Christmas. So that's, you know, that's usual business stuff. It just fits with Christmas and Christmas presents and all that stuff. And also before May and June fits with summer because a lot of people play, because they're off school, so they play computer over the summer or go on vacation. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But that's just how, like, business-wise, whatever, so on and so on. So we're probably expecting another expansion pack here at the end of the year. So if this game pack is not something you're interested in either, there's another pack right around the corner, and maybe that one will be a little bit more suited for you. You never know. I don't know if I'm talking to me right now or you. Maybe some of you will resonate with that. Did I just use that word correctly? I don't think I've ever used that word. I've been watching or listening to a lot of tarot card readings lately. So, because I find them so relaxing, like just sitting here building or farming on Roblox, you know, farming money for videos and stuff. I just like to listen to tarot card readings. They're just really relaxing to me. I don't know if that's strange, but they always say, like, does that resonate with some of you guys? Is that something that resonates with you? And I'm like, I need to use that word. So I tried, but if I didn't use it correctly, might be. I didn't actually know, just to talk about the build again, because we went off track for like 15 minutes. Anyways, I didn't actually really know what to do with the front yard here. I always feel like whenever I'm stuck with a medium-sized house on a medium-sized lot, I don't know what to do with the front yard, because you can't make it all big and fancy like you can on 40 by 30s or 50 by 50s, so on and so on. It has to be like, it has to fit the lot size, in my mind at least. I'm sure others can pull it off, but to me, I just have to make it fit the lot size. So it has to be kind of chill and a little bit humble and so on and so on. And then I'm like, everything just turns out like it's like there are too many plants or something. I don't know. So I was struggling with that a little bit. I tried a few things that I cut out of the video because I didn't really feel like it was working. But in the end, you know, we're sticking to these low-lying yellow, whatever they're called. I usually use those to kind of frame up where I want the landscaping to be. So if I use those instead of framing it up with some kind of fence, it's because I want it to look a little bit more random, a little bit more natural, whereas the fencing I'd use if I want it to look a little bit more structured, planted, and so on and so on. So today we're using those low-lying ones, and it does turn out a little bit on the wilder side. I do tone it down just a little bit. I use the flower boxes here at the front. I also thought it would be really cool if they had like a fishing pond, because that was actually inspired by an old classmate of mine. They had a smaller house, a row house, or no, it's not a detached house, an attached house. So if you don't really know what that is, they're basically houses that are like right up against each other, attached to each other. So you have like small houses literally lined up next to each other. So it wasn't like a big fancy house they had. It wasn't anything like big and fancy. I don't know how to explain that, but they had a nice little fishing pond, which I thought was cute, so I decided to add one here as well. And now we're out of time. So anyways, if you like this house, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.
Hope you'll understand how much I need you. Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, cause all we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you, because now I see we were meant to be. And didn't care if we were acting stupid, cause all we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. Cause 'cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying